people and city, not concrete, glass and steel, architects' responsibility. We admire only skyscapes. Travel Vegas and watch this film. Story of consumption. And it will be our future. A world-renowned brand, I think USA, and I got an award. The challenges were bigger. Architecture and soul and life and sending it to space.
Now, a Sri Lankan architect, a visionary Sri Lankan architect renowned for design excellence, leadership and community impact. Past president of the Sri Lanka Institute of Architects and Asia Vice President. He's the first Sri Lankan recipient of the AIA Honour Award. His work champions sustainability, civic engagement and the mentorship of future generations. Please welcome Architect Russell Dandeniya.
Very good morning. Architects Moshe Shabdi, Fuxano Misemelino, and Kenyang architects across the globe of their amazing work we witnessed throughout last couple of days. Channa Palinda from Local Work. Indeed, today morning, Rafiq Assam. Excellent presentations, mostly of same line of thinking, different scales and different perspectives indeed. Ultimately, it is all about engaging, embracing people and cities, connecting built space with gardens and landscape. I am a practicing architect, not like them, very small studio-based practice in Sri Lanka. We are having very hand-picked little number of projects as well. So today I thought I have to share a message. This wonderful forum. It is about not concrete, glass and steel and various other townships. It's about responsibility, architect's responsibility, because when we build, we don't shape skylines, we shape life itself. These are our cities today. They stand on fragile thresholds, urban edges where built environment meets with nature. And these edges are under immense pressure. They are vulnerable, they are critical. And we as architects, planners, engineers, we are holding that line. As urbanization accelerates, the choices get harder. Instead of interaction, we isolate. Instead of landscapes, we admire only skyscapes and skyscrapers. Instead of community, we live on screens, keep away from physical interactions, and trying our level best to connect via online. We are making distance from interactive ground connection. Yes, density has its place. Yes, cities must grow to survive generations. But if our only measure of success is height and speed, then what are we really building? For who? I was immersed in a film, Postcard from Earth, at Vegas Pier. I watched this film twice during last 6 months. A sheer experience in Spear. I am inviting all AIA members, if you have to spare some time, travel Vegas and watch this film. A breathtaking vision, but also a warning. Because if we keep chasing height, if we keep chasing speed, if we keep chasing consumption, we risk leaving behind nothing but grey ash of our green planet. And let's be honest, is that the future we want to live? Look at these majors, beautifully carved urban scapes, each building, each one trying to have its own conversation with the sky, each one trying to have its own competition. It is beautiful, yes, but let's not forget, this collage is something we get as granted, but a collage attempts of individual architects, each limited to plot of land, each solving only their program. How many floors? How many people per square meter? What's the life cycle cost? And while every building is unique together, they tell a single story of harmony, but we have to understand it as a story of consumption. Look at this collage. Sri Lanka, mostly green, mostly diverse, mostly alive. This is not just a landscape, it's an ecosystem. It's people and places coexisting with history, with memory, with rhythm. Sri Lanka became best tourist destination of the world for 5 consecutive years. I think most of you will travel from here, 5 hours. You can travel across entire Sri Lanka. If not, upcoming days you have to visit. Because here, hospitality is not a business, it's our culture. Nature is in backdrop, it's our stage. And when you practice as an architect here, so much of response we have to pay. Climate, ecology, people, history. You must design complementing to nature, culture, and it will be our future. I feel deeply fortunate to practice in this land. Most of opportunities I received were simple 3 to 4 story height buildings, not high rises, but each one with its own complexity, its own story, its own program. And it is in these humble assignments that I learned some of the most important lessons. I will share 2. Sometimes it was a steep slope, sometimes a site so cramped you could barely turn. Sometimes the pressure of speed, sometimes the weight of economy. On the surface, they looked unbuildable, but this is where architecture comes alive. Because architecture is not just manifestation, it is a problem solving and beyond. It is creativity encapsulated in constraints. It is architecture within architecture. And when we stay simple, when we trust the line which we are drawing, what once seemed unbuildable can become unbelievable. It's not come within straight idea, not with complexity, but with something I call linear simplicity. Because sometimes the simplest line can solve the most complex problem. Through that line, we can create workplaces that breathe, workplaces that belong, most impactful building for people for their behavior. And today, I want to show you 2 projects, 2 journeys, where this philosophy transformed not just buildings, but lives. The first is Jify Products Private Limited, a world-renowned brand, I think USA, the plant propagation and growing media exporter, backed by a Dutch company. The client, Mr. Frank Schaffner, came to us and asked design our administration building. But as you will see, nothing about this project was simple. When we first arrived in Mirigama, the site didn't look promising. A steep slope, 12 to 14 feet lower than the road level. Dry soil, a forgotten strip of land in the export processing zone with one lonely factory building in operation. Most would have flattened it, poured concrete, erased its memory, but standing there, look at from the sky. I think most of the time people tend to look at from the sky now. Roof plans are more important than the elevations and forms with technology. We could see the struggle, the fragile edge between industry and nature, the vulnerable threshold where the green was already fading. The client's vision was straightforward, put the administration block right in the center, 6 floors with a lift, a building that's standing out. But we asked a different question. Why occupy the very land for future factory expansions? Why impose on the heart when the edge was waiting? So instead, we suggested build not on the flat land, but along the steep slope, limit the building to 3 floors, save the low-level flat land for tomorrow. This was our first act of linear simplicity. But beyond cost and speed, we asked something deeper. What if this land could heal itself through architecture? What if a building could behave like a forest, when terraces climbing like garden steps, the roof wearing solar panels like leaves, foundations drinking rainwater like roots, corridors opening to breezes reducing cooling loads? A building not imposed on the slope, but rooted in it. And technically, it was as simple as the philosophy. 1 load retaining wall, on top discarded steel lens, glass, aluminium, all in market sizes, zero cut, zero waste. Even the tiles were recycled. The design 3 months, the construction 6 months, and the cost is half of what client expected. Indeed, it's not a cheaper building, it's an intelligent building. Let's see. Here's a glimpse, the moment when architecture stopped being just structure and became alive. See how simple it is. A see-through building, light, open, honest, no barriers, just clarity. And the land we saved, space for future expansion without sacrificing it today. Inside spaces are multifunctional, flexible, connected. Every room, every corridor, every hall can transform to fit one moment. Work, meeting, gathering, all flowing into one another. Corridors are not just for walking, they are for talking, for pausing, for connecting. After meetings, people to wait, ideas sparks. The greenery outside becomes part of the conversation. These are not corridors, they are dialogue corridors. And from dawn to dusk, the building transforms. Morning light floods the south facing glass. Midday breezes cool the shared walkways. At night, the whole structure glows like a lantern above the slope. It is not just an office, it is an experience. Now let's move to the other story. Ceylon Biscuits Limited, the largest confectionery and nutrition manufacturer in Sri Lanka, an international brand. They had heard about the Jify building. Previously I showed to newspapers, and I got an award for that from AIA as well. So I must pause here to give my deep respect and gratitude to AIA International Region for honoring me as the first Sri Lankan for the highest award, and indeed Nela, Roshan and team also to let me to feature it in Sri Lanka. My humble tribute to everyone. But CBL was not Jify. The challenges were bigger. Even with linear simplicity, instead of one Frank Schaffner in Jify, I had 12 Sri Lankan engineers in CBL as my clients. Very difficult. Dealing with engineers as an architect. Ranala, that's where the site was, a complex site. The sun path cutting directly along the building's axis. Highly industrial context all around. A space that demanded not just construction, but invention. And this wasn't just one building, it was family of 4. The bulk chocolate expansion project, which we have already completed, where all the Asians are getting Ferrero Rocher chocolates. The facilities building, a chocolate coating plant, and finished goods warehouse with car park. Today, let's focus only the facilities building, where we reimagine industrial architecture in different perspective. How we achieved through linear simplicity to establish unity with dignity within highly diverse social hierarchy. Green corridors, tree-lined views, light-filled walkways, everyone entering through one shared entrance, workers and management, directors and staff, not just equality in space, but equality in spirit. And then we adapted vertically, ground floor car parks and assembly, mid-level workers facilities, upper level staff and administration, layers of safety, layers of care, all stacked within linear simplicity. The real breakthrough came with energy, engineers first proposed standard cooling everywhere. We pulled the general corridors outside and central cooling spine, delivering air only where it is needed. The result, cooling loads cut down to 1/5, cost reduced, planet protected. This is what corporate clients truly expected. Not green cosmetics, but green performance. And the results were beyond expectations. The efficiency rose by 44%, not by control, but by connection. Not by counting hours, but by honoring people. Linear simplicity guided us again. Stud columns below, steel frame above, in-situ slabs cast quickly. 4 months of design, 12 months of construction. And yes, through a 24-month COVID breakthrough, we completed it. And now let me take you inside, a glimpse of what it feels like when efficiency meets humanity. Here is welcoming green invitation for visitors, green access corridor and entry points to open plan office, biophilic attempts, central cooling spine with wings of lights for efficient working environment via green connection windows, ever-growing green as maintenance-free facades. It's the home even in the night for workers. Let nature weather it. A simple grid, yet it carried all our creativity, the art within architecture, in one of the most challenging industrial contexts, and that is why we call it the heart of industry where efficiency meets humanity. So what do these stories really tell us? That a building is not just a machine, it's a living organism, breathing with its people and its place. At Jify, we built a connection with the trees, a dialogue between industry and nature. At CBL, we built a heart, a human touch, woven into glass, steel and concrete. And in both, the tool was the same, linear simplicity. A single line that brought life for everything it touched. Because with this approach, the foundation stays like an anchor holding the memory of the land, but everything above it, what do you think? Bolt by bolt and reassembled wherever it needed. It's a building that isn't trapped by its site. It's a structure with freedom. The architecture that adapts, that respects. The earth beneath it and still carries its soul wherever it goes. One line, one grid, one spine. That is all it took to turn the unbuildable into unbelievable. The art within architecture, within a highly industrial context, is more challenging, How can we respond to market demand, life cycle cost, the program, specifically constraints of the site and its complexities? All of these could be resolved through the fundamental lines of linear simplicity. I will recall the film I started, Postcard from Earth, once again. Every day we borrow resources from the future, and if we keep borrowing without care, there will be nothing left to return. Encapsulated architecture and soul and life and sending it to space or another planet is very costly.
Rather than burn our only home down around us, we left of our own accord. We turned off the lights.
What we are drawing today matters tomorrow, because the future is today. If every workplace could breathe, if every factory could grow, if every architecture could heal, then architecture will not just shape our future, architecture will save it. Thank you.
Lots of food for thoughts there, and it is fitting that it is day 3 of the conference and sort of it encapsulates everything we've been talking about the last 2 days as well. Thank you very much to our Asso Dandeniya.